Now, gliding onto the One Show, Torvill and Jayne.
Stretch. That's lovely, Dave. That's it, Dave. Ready for the lift?
Yeah.
Matt? Matt,
Concentrate.
you promised me I'd be Torvill.
Hey? You haven't got the legs for it, love.
You two are skating on thin ice.
Well, thank you very much indeed. Thanks, everyone, indeed. Yeah, and welcome to the One Show with, of course, my favourite partner, Alex Jones.
That's more like it. And Matt, the mover and shaker baker. Do they really call you that?
In some circles, yeah.
Okay. And as you may have already gathered, tonight's guests are the legendary Jayne Torvill and Christopher Dean. Welcome. Well, you've just finished a very intense 12 weeks on Dancing on Ice and you're about to embark on the tour. Gosh, how do you do it all?
Well, the tour starts on the 9th of April, so we had to go straight into rehearsals and keep going.
Yeah. I want to know where you got those outfits from, though.
I know Dave brought them in, I don't know.
They looked a bit dodgy.
Yeah. Yeah, well, anyway, like many young couples, Prince William and Kate Middleton are up to their eyes in wedding preparations, but at least they've booked the band who are going to be playing at their big day.
Yes, and they've also agreed to strike up a tune for our visiting ice skating royalty. They are, of course, the band of the Welsh Guards.
We'll be getting a flavour of what Kate and William will be hearing on the 29th a little bit later on.
All those guards are serving soldiers who've seen action in places like Afghanistan and Iraq. But it's our involvement in Libya which is dominating the headlines at the moment.
RAF warplanes have been launching missiles on Libyan targets as part of the operation against Colonel Gaddafi's forces.
But what would it be like to fly one of those planes? Well, Joe Crowley looks at the controversial role bomber pilots have played in conflicts over the past 60 years.
RAF Marham in Norfolk, home to the Tornadoes currently flying combat missions over Libya.
The crew are highly trained, the plane is crammed with state-of-the-art technology, but waging war from the air has always carried with it the danger of inflicting civilian casualties. The risk of collateral damage, as it's now known, has made the role of the bomber crew one of the most controversial in modern warfare.
British raids on Libya have been sanctioned by the United Nations. But how do the men and women at the controls square their aim of protecting ordinary civilians with the risk of their missiles accidentally killing precisely those same people?
Has there ever been situations where you've had to actually sort of withdraw or abort a mission?
Well, yes, just last week I was leading the formation over Libya that was called off of target and asked to return home because civilians had been found in the target area. You've just flown a very long way at night alongside a tanker, so quite demanding flying. You've just got yourself into the mindset of engaging with the enemy over Libya, and then of course there's the, if you like, the drop in emotion as you're told to return home with the weapons. However, on returning home and discovering why that you'd been asked to return with the weapons, obviously a great amount of elation that we'd made the right decision.
In the Second World War, airmen rarely returned home without dropping their bombs. Londoner Harry Irons was just 16 when he joined the RAF. As rear gunner in a Lancaster bomber, he flew over 60 missions.
Living in the East End, I see the actual blitzkrieg from the start. And I see the city of London completely engulfed in flames, and the whole of the East End, the dock area, smashed, literally smashed to pieces. I know was responsible for killing thousands of Germans, but there you are, that was war. Actually, it was them or us, especially us bombers flying over Germany. And the thing was to get to the target, do the job, and get back. And the thought of civilians below never occurred to us.
It was a different time and a different war. Over 50,000 of Harry's colleagues lost their lives. But despite the scale of their sacrifice, the massive aerial bombardment of German cities such as Dresden caused bomber crews to be regarded in a different light to other members of the armed forces. A memorial to the men of Bomber Command has only recently been given the go-ahead.
After the war, we were accused of being war criminals, and the government just simply washed their hands on Bomber Command. And it was years and years and years before we got any recognition. And it's only through this memorial that we got the people who begin to realise what happened. And we feel very bitter about it, because the amount of men we lost.
The mass civilian casualties which accompanied air raids in the 1940s appear to be consigned to history. Technology has given us the precision strike and the ability of aircrew to change their mind. This footage from Afghanistan shows a British missile being diverted from its target when it became clear civilians were in danger. Even so, there have been countless civilian deaths. The Pentagon has acknowledged that Taliban attacks increase after such incidents and have issued new guidelines to pilots.
It's impossible to be 100% accurate all the time. I mean, how troubling is that for the pilot?
There is always risk, but the aim of the game is to make sure that we're as precise as we possibly can be. I'm confident that we are training our guys to do the best that they possibly can, that we have the best equipment to do that, and I could show you many examples of actually precisely the opposite.
But surely the possibility of a woman or child's avoidable death must lurk at the back of every pilot and navigator's mind.
Things can occur in all situations. What we do is we focus on our training. We make sure that we set ourselves up in the right sort of way. And when the guys get to a situation, if there's any doubt, there's no doubt.
Well, Jayne, you were just telling us there in the film that your dad he was in the Navy, he's a gunner, was he?
He was, actually. He was patrolling the Channel, and he was a gunner. So, you know, he had to protect the people on his ship.
Yeah.
From
And what was his
attacked.
take on that then? Because, you know, obviously firing and what have you.
He said he didn't really think about it. It was like self-preservation, and you know, if he didn't fire, they would fire at them. So it was a job, and yeah.
Absolutely. Nice. Well.
And you weren't in the forces, Chris, but you were a man in uniform. We have the photographic evidence here.
Look at that.
There he is.
I don't know who's the more surprised at this point. You're that lady.
You didn't know we had this, did you?
No, I did not. No, that was a flashback. That's many moons ago. That was back in the late 70s, I think.
You weren't arresting that lady, were you?
No, I think doing my job as directing the public. Yeah.
Well,
over there to the left.
Well, I tell you what, one place that you're very good at directing people to are these streets that you have named after you both.
Absolutely,
I mean,
that was
an
estate in Nottingham.
Yeah.
Just after the Olympics that they named all these streets and closes and places that we'd never heard of.
Yeah. Well, they look very tidy, don't they? It looks as if the residents there take care of their patch, so to speak.
It certainly does.
See, it's a dead end there at Torvill Heights.
Well, listen up, because John Sargent has been to visit an estate in Essex whose residents could have lost their home if they had had an overgrown front garden.
I'm in Dagenham in Essex, looking out over what became the largest public housing development in the world. It's also got a special place in the history of the British Garden.
On the Becontree estate, many people for the first time had gardens, front and back. In the 1920s, 27,000 homes were built here for heroes from World War I, as it was put, and to clear the London slums.
So tell us about this place.
Well, not only is it an enormous estate, but it's also one of the largest health experiments in the whole world. You get enormous back gardens and nice front gardens to sort of frame your house when you're coming home. And the idea is to actually come into your house, grab your family, drag them into the garden like mad until tea time, and then straight out again and spend as much time as possible in the fresh air.
But it's all to do with health, isn't it?
It was, yes. It was actually regarded as one of the healthiest places in London for many, many years.
But for the 100,000 residents, it wasn't all a bed of roses. There were inspectors to check that the gardens were kept in tip-top condition.
How were their gardens then regulated?
Well, the rules actually said what you could put in your garden, how far your sheds should be, how your washing line should be in the garden, how you should maintain the front of your garden and the sort of plants to go in it. The height of the hedge was regulated by the inspectors. They came, they trimmed your hedge. Everything was uniform across the whole estate.
How amazing.
2 residents remember this tough regime. childhood sweethearts, Barry and Shirley Watson, have lived on the Beckentry estate for all their lives.
And did people just put up with this?
We just took it for granted that that's how things went, and that was it.
The garden inspector I knew when I was a little boy, he was little, and he always had his pen in his top pocket. He came out and got on his cycle, looking over people's gardens as he went along. They had wielded power, and the power would be to put you out on the street.
After the Second World War, garden inspectors were slowly phased out. Now they're back in a completely different form. The local council have set up a new unit to stamp out garden eyesores.
The key purpose is to make the area look nice and for people to take responsibility for their own front gardens.
What you're not doing, though, is saying to people, this is the sort of garden you should have.
No, we're not. We're saying keep it tidy, keep it neat, but we're not specifying you have to have marigolds in the garden or your hedge has to be to this limit. It's about making it look nice.
We're on patrol, and our standards are high.
So this is an example, isn't it?
This is a typical example of what we've got. As you can see, there are really high bushes everywhere. The place just looks a complete mess. It's affecting the neighbours. And the gentleman who lives here has lived in this house since he was 4 years old. He's now clearly into his 80s. You know, there's no way with the best will in the world he could do this for himself. So we're going to help him today.
My garden was very overgrown and I couldn't do anything about it. It was like a jungle.
And very soon, the dense jungle is cut back. Order has been restored.
Many things have changed since this estate was founded in the 1920s. But on one point, we agree as much as they did then that gardens matter, and they matter to us all.
They certainly do. How much do the gardens matter to you, Jayne?
I love looking at the garden, but mine at the moment is kind of dug up. It's
is it?
under construction, I think.
Right, okay.
Chris, how about yours?
My garden's frozen over at the moment.
Oh,
yeah.
Perfect for skiing.
It's an ice rink.
Colorado. The lovely Christine Walkden's here. Hello, Christine.
Hi, nice to be back.
Now, why is it, if we are a nation of gardeners, why are there always old bits of rubbish? In every garden you get, you know, tyres, bits of old cars, and always, if you notice, there are always bits of bathrooms. There's always a toilet and always a sink.
Because people are flush with success with it all. You have two people in this world, two types. You have the person that doesn't actually care about how the front looks, and then you've got the person that actually has a sense of pride, and that's the big issue. You are never ever going to get somebody really engaging with that front garden if they're not interested. The key thing is for the neighbours to gang up on them, get a great pot full of plants and
tell you what,
flowers.
Christine,
Go
gang up on them now. Straight down camera 4. This is your
folks,
chance.
Get out there with all your spare cuttings, all your seedlings, go round, gang on them and dig up the gardens and make them garden properly and have a sense of terrific pride and beauty in the surroundings, and the whole atmosphere then calms down and it becomes very beautiful and peaceful and people take a pride. It's dead easy.
But having said that, what's your front garden like then?
My front garden actually is a car park because that's how it was when I bought it, but my back garden, then you're into something very special.
Oh. Now, you've brought a little plant along, haven't you? This is a perfect garden.
It is. For anybody that doesn't know anything about gardening, that is a plant that you can bung in your garden, plant it, water it, and then leave it alone. You don't need to do anything else with it. Literally, it will look after itself. It's drought tolerant. It will grow to about another 6 or 7 inches. It will spread to a foot. It flowers with nice little yellow flowers in a couple of weeks' time. It will then change colour through the season and look gloriously red tinged in the autumn. It will then sit there over the winter and do it again next year.
OK, that's very nice, very nice.
Could you plant that in a garden in Colorado?
You could, in fact, actually, yes.
There
There are.
I thought I got lots of those, but I think they call them weeds where I come from.
All right. Nice, well...
Funny way you don't want it.
I'll tell you what, we've got some extraordinary pictures here of remarkable hedges. OK, now this is a peacock in a garden in Somerset.
Very nice.
Look at that. That's an extraordinary tale.
But check this out. This is a Christmas pudding in a garden in Yeovil in Somerset. Now then.
Look at that. Gorgeous. Please meet Geraldine the giraffe. In a garden in Ashford in Kent. It's a bit of a sad story, actually, this, because a little while ago, Geraldine's head was chopped off by vandals.
And terrible people out there.
The head was found 4 miles from the body.
Oh, look at that.
Oh.
Anyway,
There we
OK, thank you very much, Christine.
Great pleasure.
Lovely. Now, according to the headlines today, supermarket discounts are at an all-time high, with everyone tightening their belts. Oh, there she goes.
She's gone to plant already. Sit down. He's so keen to get in the front garden.
Is that all right, Christine? We'll start that again. Now then, according to the headlines today, supermarket discounts are at an all-time high. With everyone tightening their belts, has become a necessity to shop.
Marvellous. Now then, you calm down, I'll do the rest of it. If one retailer tells you that it is cheaper than everyone else, the chances are that you will probably believe them.
Yes,
but as Porrick... Oh, you want to carry on now?
But Porrick O'Brien found out so-called price-matching schemes are not always what they seem.
You may have seen the price promises in some of your local high street stores. Never knowingly undersold at John Lewis, or Comet's price guarantee. How about Curry's promise to match any price you find elsewhere and give you 10% of the difference?
It's called price matching. Lots of high street stores claim to do it. But are the promises just window dressing? Or could you save yourself some cash? Have you ever tried it? Have you ever gone into a shop and said,
Yes.
I can get... Have you?
Yes.
Did it work?
Have we got the price back?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've tried it online a couple of times, but it hasn't been that successful, if I'm honest.
Can't be bothered.
It may sound like a huge effort, but in the UK's highly competitive TV market, worth £3.6 billion, there are some great savings to be made.
This Panasonic telly comes with a price tag of £748 at John Lewis. But we'd seen it cheaper down the road at Richard Sounds and managed to get 90 quid knocked off the price.
So, a successful price match there. But should you really bother price matching? Why not just buy your flat screen from the cheapest store in the first place?
One of the benefits of price matching is that you could get the situation where you can buy from your local retailer that's just down the road, but for the same price as buying from someone that's, you know, either online or, you know, a retailer perhaps that isn't quite so local to you, or you don't have that level of trust or relationship with. So you can have all that level of service and support as well as getting the great price.
But before you grab your cash and dash for the door, stop and read the small print, because there's a lot of bargains they aren't willing to match.
Currys and PC World belong to the same group and have an in-store price promise which offers to match any cheaper price you find elsewhere and give you 10% of the difference.
Sounds great, but to price match a competitor's goods have to be in stock and have to be within a 30-mile radius. And get this, they won't price match against bargain basement online deals, not even those offered by web retailer Dixons, which is part of the same group.
OK, so what about their competitor, electrical retail giant Comet?
They're so sure their prices are unbeatable, they have a Comet price guarantee. The catch, they'll only price match against 5 other stores, including Argos and Tesco's, and they won't price match against online deals.
So, what about John Lewis? Famous for its never knowingly undersold trademark since the 1920s. And now, it'll even match the prices offered online.
But even John Lewis will only match prices online if the competitor's website has a walk-in store.
And it can be more trouble than it's worth. We found a cheaper TV online, and the other retailer did have a walk-in store. Great. But John Lewis also expects you to match their warranty, which we did. But we could only get the competitor's warranty in person, an 8-hour drive to the nearest walk-in store. Deal off.
We have become a nation of real bargain hunters. So if you do your research, you spend some time doing your research, you can get a great deal. But I would say it isn't just about the price. When you're thinking about buying something, think about all the other things that you might want to get in that. And it's probably better to focus on making sure you get the perfect TV for you and your family than necessarily nitpicking about the odd £5 or £10 here.
So, if you do have your eyes set on something new, like a new TV, shop around. Do your homework before you splash out. But don't rely on the price promises alone. They won't always deliver the best deal.
Some good advice there.
Yeah.
So, which one of you is best with money? Yeah?
Spends it well.
Don't shop around.
Yeah. First thing you did when you came in was compare shoes, wasn't it?
Yeah,
there we
shoes are important.
Yeah. Anyway, you've been on our screens for the last, it's about a quarter of a year, isn't it? 3 months.
Yeah, no, 12 weeks with the Dancing on Ice. Yeah, no, it was a great series, I think, this year. It was really exciting.
And more popular than ever, so magical moments for you? What were they?
Wearing the Jimmy Choos in the final.
Shoes again.
Just kidding. I think one of the things that I'll always remember is working with Johnson.
Yeah.
The fact that where he started, and he'd had so many injuries when he was in the army, and he couldn't barely move. And during the course of the weeks that he was in till the semi-final, he learned how to skate, but also I think it was good for him. It was very therapeutic and also he had some numbness still in his legs. So from a physical and a mental point of view, it was really very good for him.
Yeah.
First highlights for you?
I think the final was a big highlight because we had leaders that have been at the top of the leaderboard, and they've already also been in the skate-off. And so nobody knew who was going to win. It was really on the night who was going to be the best performer on the night.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing. And they're all coming on tour with us.
Yeah. So, yeah, your tour starts on the 9th of April. You've come down from Sheffield today for us, because that's where you kick off.
Up there. Yeah, no, all those finalists and Johnson, they're all coming on tour. So now's a chance for them to let the hair down a little bit more. There is a competition every night, but it's more fun for them. They get to do the same number week in, week out, so they're getting better at it. And it's a great time.
But do you have to lug the ice rink around with you then?
Some of the arenas already have ice in, but there are one or two where we have to take the floor.
We all come with a glass of ice.
Yeah, stamp it down.
Well, I mean, you two are probably most famous for dancing the bolero wonderfully. But after Matt and Dave's attempts earlier, we thought we'd have to show how it's done properly. So here we are.
Such a wonderful moment, that, isn't it? Yeah, still very emotional for the pair of you, yeah?
Yeah, when we see that, we don't often look at it, to tell you the truth, because it's a memory in our head. But when we do catch glimpses of it, it's still really special to us.
Another memory must have been the reaction that you got when you came back. I mean, we've got a shot of you here in Nottingham. I mean, it looks like a scene from the royal wedding.
It does. I think when we were there, all consumed by the competition, you're not aware of what's happening back home, and it wasn't until we came home a few weeks after that we had this parade and we saw all these people, a sea of people. It was amazing.
Yeah. One quick question. How on earth do you keep going? Because, I mean, it's amazing the level that you're still, performing at every week.
You know, we're enjoying what we're doing right now. This is all a bonus for us.
Yeah.
And that we've discovered that we really love what we're doing. And when you get to go to work and enjoy what you're doing each day, it doesn't matter how hard it is, but you get the enjoyment from it. Yeah. And I think that's what keeps us going.
Keeps you in shape as well.
Now, Jayne, Matt keeps going on and on about Strictly, what he was wearing, la, la, la. So we want you to decide who looks better in Lycra, our Matt or Chris. So,
nice.
You know what? My costume's way older, so I
quite like the gold, though.
Wins there.
You win in the fashion stakes there.
Okay.
We'll leave it there. Well, I'll tell you what, we've already heard about the streets that have been named after you. This is a bit of an odd question, but have you ever had a goat named after you?
Ooh, I don't think
We've had sheep, boats and roses.
Roses and fuchsias and,
But no goats yet.
No goats yet.
Oh. Well, rightly or wrongly, goats have had a bit of a bad boy reputation for chewing through things they shouldn't.
But in Cheddar Gorge, it's a very different story, as Kate Bevan has paid a visit to find out.
Cheddar Gorge in Somerset is a deep natural gorge formed during the last 3 million years when meltwaters from successive ice ages gouged their way through the solid rock. It's one of Britain's great natural wonders, attracting tourists from all over the world like bees to a honeypot. But these towering limestone cliffs need careful management.
These cliffs rise 500 feet in places, and where millions of years ago meltwater flowed below, there's now a road. And for these cars passing through, rockfall is a real danger.
The very thing that enabled the gorge to be formed in the first place, this porous, crumbly limestone rock, is what's creating a headache for conservationists. Keeping these cliffs stable is no easy job, and I'm about to find out how precarious it can get. Mark Courtier of the National Trust is taking me on my first ever abseil.
So Mark, you've got me dangling off a rope here. Remind me again, what are we looking for?
Obviously on these vertical slopes you can see here ash saplings like this one get in
and it started to establish itself, and the roots have come in and they're growing in behind, getting into the cracks and forcing out blocks of rock like this one. And you can see I'm just pulling this with my hand. It's come away, so you know, next time in a heavy rainstorm this could fall out, and if that was on a busy bank holiday,
It's going to do some damage.
absolutely, yeah.
Obviously, it's very expensive to have experts like Mark abseiling down and clearing the foliage. But luckily, there's a more natural and cost-effective solution.
Since ancient times, the gorge has been grazed by sheep, but with a steady decline in farming here, the scrub is threatening to return. But there's one four-legged creature that's a perfect tool for hacking it back. The only problem is, it's difficult to spot.
Is that one over there? They're in the trees. Oh, he's handsome. Beautiful.
They're almost the colour of the rocks, sort of grey and white, aren't they? And they blend in really well with the rocks. So.
Wow.
These are British primitive goats. They're not true wild animals, but feral, coming from domestic stock that escaped back in the mid-19th century when farmers preferred the little white goats from Switzerland for their high-quality milk.
We actually tried introducing goats about 20 years ago, and we introduced a domestic flock. A local farmer brought some domestic goats in. And the problem was that they really didn't have any fear of people at all. And they developed a taste for crisps and ice cream. And they went down into the village and they caused absolute havoc, actually.
Luckily, these primitive goats are the exact opposite and positively shy away from people.
So, Mark, looking at these ledges down here, I can see why the goats would be so useful, because obviously they'd balance on that little edge there, wouldn't they?
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, the sheep are pretty nimble, but the goats can just get to the most amazing places.
They're such natural-born climbers, they can practically run across these impossibly steep slopes, and by holding their balance in the most precarious of places, they browse on the troublesome scrub that's so difficult to reach. The gorge is home to many rare grassland plants, such as the cheddar pink, which doesn't grow anywhere else in the British Isles. And thanks to the goats, these beautiful flowers are flourishing.
It's early days, but the goats here seem to be doing a very good job. It's funny to think that for hundreds of years the goats have been domesticated and we've used them as loyal pets and working companions. But sometimes animals help us best when left just as they are.
Talking of plants, the plant that Christine walked and showed us earlier on in the studio was Euphorbia frosted flim. I'm sure those little goats
very
are
nice it was.
around that. Yeah.
Yes, now in just over 4 weeks, Kate Middleton will marry her prince and officially become, well, we don't know yet, do we? Because the Queen hasn't quite decided a title.
Now, I think our invitations have been lost in the post somewhere.
Well, speak for yourself, Matt.
But these guys behind us will definitely be there. They're the band of the Welsh Guards, and they've been asked to play before the couple at Buckingham Palace.
Did the Welsh Guards play to your wedding, Jane?
No.
Do you remember what you had your first dance to?
No.
So long ago.
It wasn't that memorable.
There wasn't one.
Yeah, super. Well, they've also produced a CD as well, which
yes,
is...
it's called a Royal Tribute. Yes.
OK, that is it for tonight. So, playing us out are the Welsh Guards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go. It's Templar Fidelis. We'll see you tomorrow.
Band, quick, march!
The Doctor's darkest hour. He'll rise higher than ever before and then fall so much further. This is the day he finds out who I am.
Hey, bye, gum.
Okay, where are we?
Where we've never, ever been.
Look how cool this stuff is!
Fear me, I've killed hundreds of Time Lords.
Fear me, I've killed all of them. my whole life. Now it's time for me to stop.
Doctor Who, coming soon to BBC One and BBC One HD.
So, we're opening for business. You still okay with it?
What's this? Second thoughts?
No.
Kiko! Stop it now! Calm down. Stop. It's gonna be babble, right?
We are going to make it brilliant.
6 bucks, 6 cars. How much damage can they do?
Go on, treat yourself to Candy Cabs. Starting Tuesday at 9 on BBC One and BBC One HD.
Reuniting a family from the Welsh Valleys under one roof after 2 years. DIY SOS is here in half an hour. Now on BBC One and